Welcome to OpenGlen. We're glad you're here. My name is Susan Phillips, and I'm the pastor at the Presbyterian Church in Shawano, Wisconsin. And OpenGlen is designed to be a space online where we can interact in real time. We're looking forward to hearing your questions, your comments, your responses, but then not staying here, going back into your communities and having more conversation there and letting the synergy between online space and the space in which you live intersect with each other. Tonight we're talking about the holiday that's coming up this weekend, the holidays that are coming up this weekend, Halloween and All Saints' Day. Some of you get really excited about Halloween, both kids and adults, and I think it's fascinating that we love to scare ourselves. It's almost as though that we dress up and mock and make fun of the things that scare us so that we aren't as afraid anymore, which I think is a brilliant strategy. The history around Halloween and All Hallows Eve is an interesting one to me because it's connected to the pre-Christian Celtic traditions, and All Hallows Even comes from the Scots. But it's the day before they would celebrate All Saints' Day, and may well have been connected to the Celtic tradition, the Wiccan tradition of Samhain, which is a harvest festival that usually happened on the 31st of October. But it's also a day that is celebrated in cultures all over the world. In Mexico, they have Dia de Muertos. In Asian cultures, the connection with ancestors and the way that families are tied generation after generation to one another is poignant and palpable. In Scottish tradition, in Celtic Christianity, there is a term called thin spaces, which is considered to be the places where the wall between this world and the next grow thin, and the awareness of one another in this life and in the life to come, in the other world, come close. Iona is one of the thin places in Scotland where I got to visit a few years ago. And the thin places are sacred spaces in our lives as well. So it might be a time rather than a place. And I'm interested to hear from you what kind of thin places you've experienced. When do you become aware of the generations that have gone before, or maybe the generations that come ahead? Tell us about it. I think I like the idea of the thin places and our connections, especially around Halloween and All Saints, because it helps us connect to a larger world, a larger history that we haven't been paying as much attention to until that moment, when we think about death and we think about loss and the ones who have gone before. And maybe we feel that loss, maybe we feel that grief, maybe we feel some fear and reconsider what life is about before we give thanks for All Saints on that holy day, holiday. But you know, we're all over the map in terms of what we think about death and what we think comes next. Some of us believe in heaven, and some of us fear hell. And some of us trust in the mystery of what may be and suspect that we can't even imagine what that might be like. And some of us, frankly, think that death is simply the end of life as we know it. It's a chemical shift. It's a physical change. And we go back to the dust. And life is ended. What do you think? What are your ideas? What are your experiences of death? I like the idea that attending to death and dying and consideration of the questions about what comes next help us come into closer connection with each other, and maybe paying more attention helps us appreciate life all the more. I think there's something significant about the way we visit those who are ill and nearing the end, the way we attend visitations, what happens when we go to funerals, the experiences we have graveside, maybe taking a handful of soil or a shovel full of dirt and helping say goodbye and let go and returning to the earth from whence we come. There's something about those connections that are meaningful and important and deepen as we pay attention to them. So I'm wondering about your own experiences and what questions or poignant moments you've had.
wondering if you can tell us about, for those of us who struggle with our own mortality, and we'll do whatever we can to avoid death and ignore the fact that it happens. What do we do with that?
You know, there was a time earlier in my life when I was really mad at death. I lost quite a few people pretty early in my life, and I was mad at death. Not God, death. And I didn't really want to have anything to do with it. And then I found myself in some situations that were work-related where I couldn't avoid it. And there were several different stages in which I was able to shift and consider a new possibility. One was a woman in Iowa City who was on hospice care, and our congregation just sort of came around her, our parish nurse and friends, and we all gathered. We brought in food, and we do the things that you do when you're caring for a friend who's nearing the end. But what amazed me was her strength, her spirit, the way that she was caring for us in our grief. We were grieving her anticipated death, and she was taking care of us. She was loving us into her own death. And it was this incredible experience of grace that helped me reconsider. I also had an experience where I was visiting someone who was very, very near the end, and there was nothing I could do. And she was not conscious, and so even speaking wasn't possible for us. And so I just sat in silence with her and listened to her breathe. And the image came to me of what it might have been like to be at the foot of the cross and listening to Jesus' last breaths. And in that moment, she became Jesus for me. And the promise of an empty tomb, the promise of resurrection, the promise that death is not the end. Or Paul's words from Romans 8, that nothing in all creation can separate us from the love of God. Nothing, not death, not life, nothing in all creation can separate us. And in that moment, I felt the connection, and I felt close, and I didn't feel afraid, and the anger ebbed away. It doesn't mean that death doesn't hurt, that loss doesn't hurt. Grief is painful. Grief is hard work and necessary work. And the work that, for me anyway, has made me appreciate the people around me all the more. And so it's work that's been worth it. I hope you'll take some time to have some conversations with other people about it and discover together what's meaningful for you, your thin places, and how you might connect in deeper ways. Thanks for being here. Blessings.